Hello, all. If anyone's here, oh, hello. Unkindness of Ravens. I love that name. Hi, Patty and Gretchen. Hi, my name is Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey. Grandmother clock is chiming, so it must be time to talk about keto. And I talk about how I've lost 97.4 pounds since starting the ketogenic diet, how you might be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your life. Thank you very much for allowing me into your Saturday afternoon. If you are seeing this outside of the times, noon to about 12:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, December 22nd, you are not seeing it live. Thank you so much. Hello, Marquita, Leon Gilbert. Good morning. I want to talk today about something. It might come across as a little lectury, but I don't mean it to. It's that thing. I talk to myself a lot, as much as I talk to anyone else. And I came to realize, in retrospect, after I spent 30 years as a very heavy person, I'm 5'1", so you can imagine what 97.4 pounds looked like on this frame. That was not my heaviest. I'm actually about 115 and a half pounds off my heaviest weight that I know of. And I was pretty heavy for 30 years. As I look back, I can recognize the demoralization inside my head of the feeling of failure, the feeling of helplessness, and not owning, that's not the right word, and feeling like it was my failure that I just couldn't lose weight. I tried, we've all tried. We did it all. Well, I didn't do it all. I didn't do Weight Watchers because there was no way I was going to get on the scale in front of anybody else. To this day, my husband does not know what I weigh. Anywho, but I did, I really did approach it seriously. And even if you go to my blog, you can see some before photos, the very few before photos that exist. Like many heavy people, I avoided the camera, so there aren't too many photographs of me. But I tried the triathlons and the just move more, eat less, the low fat, the calculating everything, the food pyramid, all that. And I now realize that to a degree, it was not my failure, but the advice that failed me. But there is another component to that. And I want to bring my opinion about this. Please keep in mind, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a therapist. I am not a researcher. I'm a highly educated, well-educated, intelligent, highly motivated former fatty who managed to do what we've been told can't be done, which is lose weight and keep it off. I started this in 2014, so I'm coming up on 5 years. And I've been essentially weight stable for about a year and a half, maybe a year, something like that. But in retrospect, I can see that there was a component of me in my approach to food that I said, I just can't resist. I can't resist. And then I had two main things, tortilla chips and pizza. Oh, it'd be an ugly scene. But in general, it was just carbs in general. For those of you who don't know, the ketogenic diet, the protocol is where you restrict your carbohydrate intake to a point where your liver no longer pumps out glucose for fuel, and our bodies happily switch over to burning ketones or fat for fuel. And that's it. For most people, for pretty much across the board, 20 total grams of carbohydrate a day or fewer will do it. There is, of course, variation in humans. So you find what works for you. For me, it's quite a bit lower than 20 grams a day. And that's just what I followed. But there was part of me prior to that that told myself I just can't resist. If you put a basket of tortilla chips in front of me, I'm going to murder it and then ask for a second. Now as I look back, and some of us may say that to ourselves even now, and particularly going through this holiday season, the end of year, all the stuff that happens, all the onslaught, parties, dinners, gifts of food, pressure from family, etc. All of this that goes, and then we all know what happens. And then January 2nd comes and we're food hangovers. We need to realize that we are not powerless over food. It's something we tell ourselves to give ourselves leave to eat the chocolate-covered, sprinkled Oreo cookies, to eat a tray of Christmas cookies or giant slices of pie with ice cream on top or second helpings of stuffing. We tell ourselves lots of things. One of them is, I don't want to insult someone. I don't want to hurt someone's feelings. It wouldn't be Christmas without this. You know what? It would still be Christmas. It'll still be Christmas. But we're not powerless. And we need to own our choices. I'm talking to my former self. I still own my choices. I'm not deprived. I just choose not to eat food that makes me feel like crap, that makes me fat and inflamed and depressed. Own our choices. Now, I just did this live on Facebook, so if you've seen it, you might want to move on. But keep in mind, if we tell ourselves that we are powerless in the face of a giant tin of popcorn or whatever your, red velvet cake, whatever it is, that's illogical. You're not powerless. If you choose to eat it, choose to eat it. Own your choice. Let's put on our big person pants and own our choices. Now, an explanation for why you might feel compelled by your brain to eat more carbs. If you're burning glucose for fuel, because glucose cannot be stored in the blood more than about 5 grams in your entire body. If your brain is burning glucose for fuel, it's a quick burning fuel, it's going to call for more fuel. So your brain says, get me some more carbs. Once you stop consuming carbs sufficiently and you start burning fat for fuel, your brain is perfectly happy and does not call for more glucose. So an explanation of why your brain will want you to eat more carbs is one thing. Telling yourself that you have no control over what you put in your mouth is an excuse. Sounds harsh. I don't like the word. But as I say, I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to my former self. I wish I had talked to myself this way 20 years ago. 25 years ago. 30 years ago. Own your choices, but don't tell yourself that you're powerless. If you're old enough to be watching this, you've seen enough in life. You've had enough actual challenges in life, from injury, loss of loved ones, fortune reversals, broken hearts, horrible bosses, children that challenge you, And you know what? None of those things that we have overcome or dealt with were enhanced by food or solved by food. As we say around Go Keto with Casey, if hunger is not the problem, food is not the answer. So just bear in mind that as we head into this very challenging last week of the year, you're stronger than the food. Food is not love. It shouldn't be entertainment or sport. Love is love. A good book or a movie or going to the, opera. That's entertainment. Soccer, lacrosse, basketball, football, that's sport. Hiking, jogging, canoeing, that's sport. Food should not be sport. Food is fuel. And food is not the boss of me. And it doesn't need to be the boss of you. So, who's in charge? You're in charge. Try not to get hung up on how rapidly you are or are not seeing a change on the scale. Our bodies can remodel without 1/10 of a pound being reflected on the scale. It happens all the time. I'm going to give a quick plug for Patreon. If you're interested in becoming a patron, go to patreon.com/GoKetoWithCasey, where depending on your monthly pledge, you'll get about 20 videos a month from me. I just made my 300th video over there, and a patron-only forum, and then going up from there, behind-the-scenes videos, about 6 or 7 patron-only video live streams a month, and about a half dozen patron-only video group chats a month, and then monthly one-on-ones with me. And also 10% discount on any Go Keto with Casey swag, by the way. Got a few calendars left. And this is in reverse, but those are most have gone out the door. And if you're interested in shipping to Canada, I have to do something special with that because of the way my site is set up on my blog. You can go to my blog, CaseyDurango.com. Okay, enough about that. Do as you wish. But don't feel like you have to get through the holidays before you can make a change. The next time you put food in your mouth, if you really want to make a change, just leave off the carbs. You're not doing anything extra. You're simply leaving off the carbs. Eat what everyone else is eating. Just leave off the carbs. A steak and broccoli and a baked potato and rolls, eat the steak and the broccoli, leave off the baked potato and the rolls. You can see the food list I followed at my blog. Happy to download it, but it's really just fatty sources of protein. Here's the protocol. Keep your carbohydrate intake 20 grams or fewer a day total, not net. Eat fatty sources of protein. That just means eat animal flesh that comes with the fat that comes with it. Don't get the leanest cuts of meat, get the fattiest. Poultry with the skin. Eggs with the yolks. Streaky bacon. Pork chops, lamb chops. And about the size of your fist of non-starchy vegetables a day, and maximum about the size of 2 fists of leafy greens a day. Maximum, not minimum. There is no minimum requirement for vegetables. Some people find, and in our group we're finding more and more, people are just naturally the vegetables are falling more and more by the wayside. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say, really, was we are in charge of doing this, is not an involuntary reflex. Just because the cupcakes with the red and green icing are there does not mean you have got to pick one up and eat it. This is a choice. Someone has asked me, many people have asked, okay, so I'm essentially where I want to be. I'm essentially at, My goal weight, I'd like to lose a little bit more just for vanity purposes. In round numbers, I like symmetry. Will I ever have an occasion where I just go ahead and, I've been doing this for so long and just let loose? And I didn't even have to think about it. I responded that I could not think of one occasion, milestone or celebration, that would be enhanced by me eating food that makes me feel physically, mentally, and emotionally bad. Why would I change that? If I suffer a severe allergy to something and I manage to conquer it and stay away from it, and I'm happy, I'm healthy, why would I say, okay, well, it's Christmas, I'm going to go ahead and indulge in that food that makes me break out and blow up? I need an EpiPen to take care of it. So that's the thing. If I can do this, y'all, anyone can do it. I am not special. I am you. I am you. I don't, no matter what stage of life, what season of life you're in, your gender, I'm you. And if I can do this, you can do this. I'm a little distracted. There are birds all over our bird feeders, and there's this very determined squirrel. But that squirrel is getting nowhere. I highly recommend the brown bird feeders. They're squirrel proof. Not a sponsor. I just like them. I'm going to look at comments, and I appreciate y'all talking to each other. Hey, Christina, that's what I did. I finally said cards. If I want cards, they better be keto. And I've been on for 7 months now. Take it one meal at a time. You take it one mouthful at a time if you have to. For many people, the hardest part is not, leaving off the rice or the potatoes or the chips or whatever. You do that for a few days, seriously, a few days. And it's like, oh, that was not as hard as I thought it would be. The more challenging part for many people is don't eat if you're not hungry. No matter what time of day that might be, by the way. Read into that what you will. If you're not hungry, don't eat. I get questions about this. I don't know what to do. I'm a little concerned. I'm not hungry. What do I do? Don't eat. It's like, I'm real concerned. I haven't had to pee in the last 6 hours. What do I do? Don't pee. Your body knows what to do. Listen to it. Jen H writes, the best part, people ask me about it and they're doing their research. I bring in my chicken thighs to work with a spinach salad and goat cheese. People are like, you can eat that with the skin? Thank you, Jen. This is the opposite diet. Almost to a T. Take almost everything we've been told and our parents were probably told and do the opposite. Yes. Heavy cream in our coffee if you like it that way. Not unlimited though. Chicken with the skin, poultry with the skin. Eat duck. It's one of the fattiest birds around. Pork chops with a nice band of fat. Chuck roast instead of eye of the round, which is not only lean, it's really expensive. Another lovely thing about this, sometimes the less expensive food is more affordable. Is the better one. Like Jen writes, chicken thighs instead of a boneless, skinless chicken breast. I've always said it. Boneless, skinless chicken breast is a waste of a good chicken. Barb O writes, oh, I'm in charge of the Christmas meal. I'm making ham, turkey breast, deviled eggs, broccoli, salad. I can hardly wait. Food is not the boss of me. That's on one of that's December for this year's calendar. And I will be getting that t-shirt back, by the way. It's the only product I'm reordering. I sold them. They sold out immediately. Long sleeve, short sleeve, black t-shirts that say, food is not the boss of me. By the way, another one, nobody gets a vote on what you eat. Don't let, people want to pressure you. That says more about them than anything else. Christina Gale writes, chicken should never be eaten without the skin. It's kind of the best part. It is. Now, I'm going to repeat the protocol, and I want you to think about what's missing that many people stress over. Keep your carbs 20 grams a day or fewer, total, not net. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satiated. Can anyone identify what is not part of that formula that many people perseverate over and write books about and make calculators about? Jen H., I have a nurse at work wants me to get my cholesterol checked. Zvetka, chicken today for lunch didn't do the job. I was hungry a bit, so a few hours later I made 4 eggs with 28% cheese and Bulgarian 16%, and I'm so happy now. No cravings. You know what? Boiled eggs are like appetite killers. So get yourself 3 boiled eggs and a glass of water, and you will not be able to eat for hours. Okay, I'm looking at this squirrel. This squirrel thinks it is actually going to get into the galvanized can where we keep the bird seed. I have to bring on Army. Jane asks, canned vegetables okay? You know, if that's what you got, if that's what you like, and there's not added sugar or anything, just look at the carb count. Now, we opt for frozen vegetables here. We have our Costco, and Costco's got a really good variety of vegetables that are easy. One of my favorites is these organic baby spinach frozen in these bags, and you just pop it in the microwave for 5 minutes. Delicious. Same thing with frozen Brussels sprouts, frozen green beans, frozen broccoli. We don't get the pre-done cauliflower, like cauliflower rice, because it's too easy to make our own. But if that's what you've got, use it. Just make sure there's not added sugar. Keep in mind, all vegetables are not created equal. As a rule, you want your vegetables to be those which grow above the ground. So again, the opposite, not the brightly colored vegetables that grow below the ground, not the sweet potatoes and the beets and the carrots, because they are below the ground because their job is to store starch or sugar for the greens. You know, you don't have to do grass-fed. You know, there's a little bit of an elitist thread that goes through the community. You don't have to do grass-fed. Do what you can do. Do the best you can do with what you've got. Tweak later if you need to. If the best you can do is ground beef on sale and some canned green beans, and that suits you, go for it. Hey, Lori Morse writes, I've lost 30 pounds, got 20 more to go. Congratulations. My doctor, Lori writes, my doctor's freaking out at my cholesterol, but hey, keto will raise it, but it's not going to kill you. The one overall cholesterol number is to the point of ridiculousness. It's so useless. And doctors, you know, I used to make excuses for them because they weren't taught. But now there's enough information out there. They need to educate themselves. The overall cholesterol number is useless. Here's an indicator, pretty well accepted indicator for risk of cardiovascular disease. And that is, it's called Metabolic Syndrome. And it's if you have 3 out of 5 indicators. I'm going to say this. So if you have 3 out of these 5, you are considered to be at increased risk for cardiovascular disease, which is what people freak out over the overall cholesterol number. A large waist circumference, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high triglyceride, low HDL. And say it again, 3 out of 5. If you have large waist circumference, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high HDL, high triglyceride, low HDL. Note the overall cholesterol number is not in there. Guess what else is not in there? Weight or BMI. And guess what? You can have a skinny waist circumference and have 4 of the other markers and be at really high risk. You can have a large waist circumference and have none of the others, and you're at reduced risk. So what you want is to look at your triglyceride and HDL ratio. Ideally, you want those to be the same number. So if your triglyceride is 82, you want your HDL to be 82. Even better, you want the triglyceride to be lower than the HDL. Mine, after being on the protocol, my triglyceride, I think, was 64. Might have been 54. And my, it might have been 54, and my HDL 98. Brian, okay, Barbara writes, I'm frying Brussels sprouts. Do you have a good recipe? I'm trying Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts easy. And I think someone else just get some bacon. You can wrap them in bacon if you want to get fancy and put them in the oven. Just throw some bacon in a skillet. Throw some Brussels sprouts in. Salt, pepper, whatever seasonings you like. To make them cook quicker, you can cut them in half. More and more cardiologists are coming around to this. Hey, Casey, how do you enjoy spirits on keto and still succeed? Again, the opposite diet. Thank you for the question. New bad? There are special rules for alcohol. Alcohol, spirits, wine and spirits, dry wine and spirits will not impact ketosis. Your liver must process the alcohol because it sees it as a toxin, which it is. So that must happen, and the liver is in charge of all of this. It does a lot of housekeeping. So it can delay, plus it's calorically dense. So if you're pounding back a lot of alcohol, that's a lot of calories. Many people find they can't consume as much alcohol as they did as their weight comes down and they're burning fat for fuel. Of course, mixers, if you're going to do mixers, they need to be sugar-free. They need to be no calorie. But anyway, so if you don't drink, don't start, don't overdo it. It's the mixers very often that will kill you because they're full of sugar. Andrea Thoreau writes, Barb, my husband is not on board with keto either, but we have to do what makes our body feel good. They don't feel our pain or fatness. Yeah. And people who are not on board, sometimes it's from a legitimate, understandable concern for health. There's just too much good evidence. There's just really, this is a very helpful way of eating. It's extremely nutrient dense. The saturated fat cholesterol heart hypothesis has been debunked. If you want a good book to read that explains the science, it's a little sciencey, but it's approachable. Highly recommend The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living by Doctors Stephen Finney and Jeff Bolick. It explains why we craved eating and roaming the halls at 10:30 in the morning at our offices, even though we'd eaten a so-called heart-healthy, low-fat breakfast at 8, and we're looking for whatever we can find to eat. I just thought it was because I was a slob. No, it's a physiological reason. I will try to remember after I do this to put the link to that book, and it's an affiliate link for Amazon, but I highly recommend the book. It's really the only one you need. It explains about cholesterol, gout, potassium, magnesium, muscle spasms, cholesterol, saturated fat, triglycerides, HDL. It's very approachable. Okay, let me get down to this. Jen writes, my husband wasn't on board either, but he still supported me. But seeing the results now, he isn't as skeptical, and he tells everyone about it. My lovely mate, and I find this a lot with people with whom I speak, I call them the trailing spouse. Usually it's the woman and then the husband or the partner comes out later. But it can be men too who start and then their spouses come. It's about 6 months. That was almost exactly what it was for me and my husband. He never had a weight issue, really. He did a little bit of weight after age 50, but he's always been trim. But he saw the change in me, mostly my emotional change, my energy change, my attitude change. And of course, the weight loss was good, but I'd lost weight in 6 months, but the first year I lost 47 pounds. I'm an average loser. Okay. People get verklempt because they feel like they're not losing weight as quickly as they should. I lost 47 pounds the first year, and over the next 2 years, the next 50 pounds. So if you're frustrated, try to remember most people are more like me, or I'm more like most people. Anyway, so he started. He didn't even need to. And he feels better, and he stuck with it. And he got to his ideal weight between 8 p.m. and 7:30 a.m. the next day. And he's from Colombia, South America. People feel like their cultures or their cultures of origin are more challenged than anybody else. Well, easy for you, Casey, but I can't because we're Italian or French or Irish or Hispanic or fill in the blank. Or I'm from the South, or I'm from the Northeast, or I'm from Pittsburgh and we like hoagies. Most cultures are based on cheap food, which is carbs, breads, pastas, rice. It's just cheap, and it's cheap because it doesn't have any value. Mexican and tortillas. Ouch. Yeah, I never thought I could give up tortilla chips. I knew that low carb would probably work for me. I knew it since college. When I got my first copy of the Atkins Diet Revolution. But I thought, I can, I didn't pay much attention. I was really cute and in college. And I thought I knew everything. But I knew as the years went on, it would probably work. But I thought, I cannot see going the rest of my life without eating tortilla chips. And I couldn't give them up until I did. That's the other thing. We're in charge of our choices. We tell ourselves we can't do something. We tell ourselves we're weak against it. We tell ourselves I might as well just eat the food because it smells so good and I'm going to gain weight from smelling it, which of course we don't. If my husband can do it, rice and beans, we bought rice 50 pounds at a time and beans 25 pounds at a time. We bought the abuelita tortilla chips at Costco, the giant ones, 5 bags at a time. And he didn't need to lose weight. And even after I was doing this, I was still making homemade bread every Sunday for him. Gave it all up. Andrea Thoreau, I will be a registered nurse in May. My mission is to educate about keto. That's great. Citrine42 writes, giving up, in quotes, chocolate bars for me was huge. And you did it, I assume, Citrine. Okay, does anyone have any questions for me personally? I'm not the arbiter of all the answers, but I'm happy to share my experience and my understanding of the protocol if you're interested. Share your successes. I will give another plug for Patreon. Patreon.com/GoKetoWithCasey. Actually, I'm going to type it in here because it's, as I've said, people, I think, don't join the group so much to get access to me, but to get access to each other. And frankly, the patrons have allowed me to give up my day job and do this, which I feel like is why I'm here, is to talk to people who maybe have given up on their own lives and been told or believed that it was past them, that they'd never be able to get out from under the weight and the inflammation and the pain and the heartache and the depression. The lost talent to society from people who have withdrawn or not spoken up or not tried because they were embarrassed about their size or their weight or felt like they wouldn't be taken seriously. And that is a real thing because, when you're overweight, you lose about 10 IQ points in the eyes of other people for about every 25 pounds of weight. It's not even implicit, it's explicit. It's like, if you can't even control your weight, how am I going to give you a promotion if I'm in charge of other people? How am I going to trust you with my financial planning if you can't even lose weight? The two things are unrelated, by the way. Financial planning, overweight. Project manager, overweight, not the same thing. But this is what happens. Hey, Debbie Lyman writes, she's down 45 pounds. You're down 45 since July. That's great. Okay, Christine Proctor, keto ration upper lip and under nose. I've been doing this for almost a year. Any suggestions? I don't think that's keto rash, honey. There might be something else going on. You know, people can get rashes and things, whether they're burning sugar or burning glucose or burning ketones. But that's most times if people do get a rash, it passes. You know, it just goes. Imagine you're detoxing and your body is pushing out, I mean, to put it in very simplistic terms, pushing out all this garbage. And our skin is an organ. So, you know, if your intestines can be inflamed with irritable bowel syndrome and other things, your skin, an organ, can certainly be inflamed. Yeah, watch out for your skincare products and soap. I would be surprised if this had anything to do with being in ketosis. Sandra Bullock asks, why does long-term keto get a bad rap? You've done it successfully. Well, because one thing, people have been told it can't be sustained. I mean, it's just, okay, we're just going to say it can't be sustained. End of story. And also there are, let's face it, there are vested interests that make much less money. If they are corn, wheat, rye, barley, soy products, which have long shelf lives, are cheap to grow and to process and to ship, aren't being eaten. And then there are vested interests where if they're states, if you're a politician and your state grows wheat, barley, rye, corn, soy, if large manufacturers, industrial farms contribute to you, vested interests, okay? That brings me to another. There are vested interests in the ketogenic diet community. Some have a vested interest in you being confused. Because if they can confuse you, then they can sell you something to try to make it simple. Does that make sense? You don't have to purchase any special products, any special foods. This is just food. It's food you probably already have in your home, in your fridge, your freezer, probably not sitting in your pantry. You just leave off the carbs. Drinking so-called ketones, unless it's for therapeutic uses, which is still under research, is not going to help you. You don't need protein shakes. Just eat some animal flesh. It can be seafood. It can be oily fish. It can be poultry. It can be eggs. It can be bison. It can be alligator, ostrich, lamb, pork. So there are vested interests all around. If you're listening to someone and it sounds complicated, please take a step back. Complicate things as much as you wish. Some people enjoy that. I just didn't. Vicky Diaz writes, my skin is so moist and looks great since on keto. Okay, Christina Gale writes, my friend is uncomfortable with how much weight I've been losing. They don't have to live in your body. You do. If they truly love you, they will like you anyway. Yeah, that can be a challenge. Our relationships with people can change as much as our relationships with food. Some people feel better about us if we're a hot mess because it makes them feel better about their circumstance. Or some people feel like if you are watching, you're not eating out of the bowl that comes in the restaurant, the basket of bread. If you're not eating it, they might feel self-conscious that they are. And somewhere in their mind, they know I probably should be cutting back on this. But they feel like it makes them look weak or whatever in comparison, whereas I don't care what anybody eats. I don't get a vote on what they eat. They don't get a vote on what I eat. But it could be, take some time for us all to catch up with each other. Okay, I'm looking at you. And I appreciate you guys talking to each other. This is great. Rory writes, LOL, hot mess. My coworker says that all the time, and she is not in good health. Oh, Barbara writes, oh my word, I needed this video so much right now. Well, I'm so glad if it's helpful. And I just really want to reiterate what the point was today, because I know many of us will be challenged by this end of the year. There are explanations why we've gotten to the point where we are heavy. There are explanations. There are also excuses that we use. We don't have to put food in our mouth. Food is an inanimate object. We don't have to put it in our mouths. And believe me when I say, if you stick to this protocol, stick to it. It won't even be that long a time before you look at a buffet line and go, oof, I'm getting a little bit of a headache just thinking about it if I ate that food. The people with whom I speak and the people from whom I hear who have been the most successful just have not played. They just followed the protocol. Carbs, 20 grams or fewer a day. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satisfied. No hyper calculations of grams of fat or protein. No time restricted eating. Just don't eat if you're not hungry. Eat if you're hungry, no matter what time of day it is. Don't eat just because it's a certain time of day. That's arbitrary. Don't not eat if you are hungry, but it happens to be a certain time of day. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satisfied. And move on, and then get on with your life. Step away from the recipes, from the food, from the pictures of food. Step away from trying to cram fake versions of the food that got us here in the first place into your life. Enjoy what's already a luscious list of foods. Enjoy it. And then use the space that's freed up in your brain for something else. Okie dokie. Does exercise play a part in keto? Asks Sandra Bullock. Exercise is very good for general health, bone density, core strength. As we say around Go Keto with Casey, I don't exercise. I just dress like I do. I do move more than I did because it's easier. But it is an ineffective tool for fat loss. If you are burning more fuel, you're going to need more fuel. That's fine. But it's ineffective for fat loss. It's very good. Some people exercise, it's like therapy to them. And as we get older, particularly females, bone density is very good. So resistance training. I don't harp so much on cardiovascular, on aerobic. It's just not that effective. But having good muscle tone is excellent, and lean tissue is more metabolically active, requires more fuel. So you can, and it takes up less space. It's a common misstatement that a muscle weighs more than fat. No, they both weigh what they weigh. A pound of fat and a pound of muscle both weigh a pound. But that pound of muscle takes up less space than a pound of fat, and it's more metabolically active. So you can, it requires more fuel. So there might be marginally a little bit. But, move as much or as little as you like. It's punitive to tell a really heavy person, just move more. Plus, it can be damaging to their joints, to our joints. That's what it was for me. Oh, Ben, you idiot. Douchebag. Sorry about that, guys. I like to say douchebag every now and again. Oh, people. Okay. So, oh, good heavens. Okay. Oh, Charity Lindsay, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. That is so kind. Thank you for videos and simple direct advice. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. I'm going to say this about YouTube. I have a Facebook presence, which I have because I need to have it for my group. YouTube presence, and I have a blog. And then I have Patreon. Everyone in Patreon is wonderful. There's something about YouTube that draws out those people with the tiny, tiny little brains and probably other tiny parts. Julie Hamby, hi from Atlanta, Georgia. And Christina Gill writes, I salt my food and everything to taste. And if it tastes too salty, then it is too much. If it tastes good, then I eat it. Your body regulates what it needs. Someone must have asked about salt. Hey, I thought I got you out of here, you. Oh, Ben. Okay. Okay. Is he still there? Thought I got rid of him. Yes. It must be very hard when dudes are so insecure. Okay. Okay. Must be something about the holiday season. It's very trolly. Okay, so someone asked about salt, I guess. Yes, enough sodium. Here's another, it's the opposite. We've been told to avoid sodium. If you don't have sodium sensitive hypertension, then Dr. Stephen Phinney recommends 5 grams of sodium a day, including the food you get from your food. If you have no symptoms, and the reason you want to do that is because sodium is the queen of the electrolytes. And since this way of eating can, idiot. We can flush a lot of water. With water goes the sodium. With the sodium can go magnesium, potassium, and calcium. Potassium deficiency is not that common. Magnesium deficiency is more common, and the symptoms of that can be kind of tingling in your toes, your fingers, your face, maybe a little lightheaded, a little lethargic, headachy. And a quick fix for that can be, and leg cramps at night. A quick fix can be increase your sodium, and that will help balance the magnesium and all the other ohms. I heard iodine and sea salt is necessary every day for good health. Iodine is something that's added to table salt. Sea salt probably has no iodine. We don't use table salt, but frankly, the food we consume, like the bacon and the sausages and the things, have enough of all of that in it. Okay, not sure what that conversation is about. I guess it is time. Um, okay, some mornings I wake up with leg cramps. Yes, the easiest fix is to increase your sodium. If you don't want to go through all the calculations of how much sodium, get a couple of bouillon cubes, the cheap things you get in the grocery store. Make some bouillon. It's high in sodium. That can help. If not, then I take slow release magnesium, 364 milligram tablets a day. Okay, I am going to start to okay. I'm going to start to wind down, and this was a long one. I always say I'm going to keep it short, and then I never do. So thank you very much again for allowing me in. You're in charge of your food choices. I know it can be difficult. Just because it sounds simple doesn't mean it's easy. But think how victorious and strong you're going to feel come January 1st. If you look back and say, not only did I not do what I did last year that made me feel cruddy, but I still enjoyed myself. It was still fun, even without the red and green cupcakes. Okay, have a lovely, lovely holiday, no matter what you celebrate, if anything. Remember, be kind to yourself. Be firm with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry, and stop when you're satiated. It really does work. It really is that straightforward. So hope to see you again sometime. I'm going to try to keep on doing these Saturday YouTube lives. Thanks a lot for the support. Bye.